Welcome back. Boris Johnson's political future is on a knife edge after the British Prime Minister apologized for breaching lockdown rules. Some senior members of his Conservative Party joined the opposition to call for his resignation, while others are waiting for the outcome of an investigation. Sarah Wong reports.
Boris Johnson sped through the House of Commons in the bid to salvage his premiership following mounting calls for his resignation. Challenged by Brexit and tested by COVID, the Conservative Party leader found his Achilles heels to be the pandemic restrictions that he himself imposed.
I want to apologise. I know that millions of people across this country have made extraordinary sacrifices over the last 18 months. I know the anguish that they have been through, unable to mourn their relatives, unable to live their lives as they want, or to do the things they love. And I know the rage they feel with me and with the government I lead when they think that in Downing Street itself, the rules are not being properly followed by the people who make the rules.
After a series of denials, Johnson admitted that he attended a packed party in the garden of his official residence in May 2020. That's when Britain was under lockdown for the first time, and people were allowed to meet only one person outside their household.
Is the Prime Minister really so contemptuous of the British public that he thinks he can just ride this out? Is he now going to do the decent thing and resign?
Scottish Conservative leader Douglas Ross joined several Tory lawmakers and the opposition to urge Johnson to stand down. But both hot favourites to succeed Johnson, Foreign Secretary Liz Truss and Finance Minister Rishi Sunak, stood by their boss pending the result of an investigation. Last year, Health Secretary Matt Hancock resigned after he was caught on tape breaching social distancing rules. Sarah Wong, HKIBC.
The British monarchy is facing a fresh crisis after a judge in New York gave the go-ahead for a civil case against Prince Andrew over allegations that he sexually assaulted American Virginia Giuffre when she was a teenager.
The prince is going to be in a world of hurt and a world of trouble, not comfortable to have to sit there and answer questions in this lawsuit, which alleges that he was sexually inappropriate with Virginia when she was only 17. He's not going to be able to evade and dodge. He's going to have to step up now and answer unless and until this case is settled, if it ever is.
My father said to me,
Andrew has denied the allegations, but the judge rejected the argument that Giuffre gave up her right to sue the prince under a secret deal with convicted sex offender Jeffrey Epstein. If there's no settlement, the case could be heard later this year. Giuffre, who's now 38, claimed that Epstein had trafficked her to have sex with prominent people. Epstein took his own life in prison 3 years ago after being charged with sex trafficking. Fried chicken chain KFC is facing calls for a boycott on the mainland for allegedly promoting wastefulness. The China Consumers Association lashed out at the U.S. fast food chain, which teamed up with toy maker Pop Mart for a promotion campaign. One customer allegedly spent over 10,000 yuan on 106 meals to collect a full set of Dimu toys. The consumer group accused KFC of using hunger marketing to propel irrational consumption. In 2020, President Xi Jinping launched the Empty Plate campaign to discourage lavish dinners and wasteful spending. Scrutiny intensified during the pandemic as concerns arose over food supplies under China's strict curbs on movement. Americans are complaining of surging petrol and food prices as inflation in the United States hit a 40-year high.
When you get to, food prices that are absolutely necessary for survival, literally, yeah, it gets a little bit on the rough side when you go into used to pay $100, $150. Now you're getting out of the store for $200, $225, that sort of thing.
U.S. inflation last month jumped 7% from a year ago, the fastest pace in 4 decades. Supply chain disruptions triggered by the COVID pandemic meant that the soaring demand for goods has not been met. The U.S. Federal Reserve plans to tame inflation by raising interest rates and may do so 3 times this year. Mainland developers lost ground on the Hong Kong stock market today as they try to extend debt obligations or raise funds. Sunak led the decline, plunging 22.6% following the announcement of a plan to sell shares to repay loans. The Shimao Group dropped 9.4% after saying it will meet investors next week to vote on payment extension proposals for asset-backed securities. The retreat by mainland developers was offset by a strong performance among financials. HSBC and AIA gained more than 1.5% each to give the Hang Seng Index a small lift. Now let's take a look at the markets. The Hang Seng ended the day up 27 points. To the top 10 active stocks, Tencent was down $5.60, Sunak was down $2.67, while Alibaba was down 80 cents. The tracker fund was up 6 cents, Wuxi Biologics down by $1.50, while HSBC was up 90 cents. To the forex trading against the Hong Kong dollar, the euro's at 8.92, the pound sterling 10.69, and the Australian dollar at 5.68. Finally, in Europe, the London FTSE is currently trading almost flat. There'll be no more excuses for British chefs not to chop up more onions because a new variety doesn't produce tears, but it comes at a price.
Paying 3 times the cost of an onion just to kind of get rid of the tears, absolutely no way is that worth it to me. I live on a budget and onions are something that are generally quite cheap.
They're called sunions. Although they look like ordinary onions, they do not make people cry. It took 24 years of cross-breeding various strains to produce sunions, which are grown in Spain. They are claimed to become less pungent over time, so anyone peeling them a few months after they are harvested shouldn't shed a single tear. On to the weather now. Cool in the morning and mainly cloudy tomorrow. Temperatures will range between 15 and 18 degrees. Sunny weather will return on the weekend. Now let's take a look at the weather around the world. That's our main news for Thursday night. Join us for more news at 11. I'm Raymond. Good evening.